Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and let's get started. A lot of us get a goal, we get a little game plan, we get ready to go things, but we're kind of stuck. It's hard to throw ourselves in gear and to make that first step. And so here's a couple of quick comments about getting unstuck, overcoming inertia. Inertia is a real thing, folks. Inertia is overcome that resistance to changing the state you're in. This is why people don't like to change. They'd rather stay where they are. There's a friction that kind of holds you in place and holds people in relationships, holds them in jobs, holds them in living in areas they don't really enjoy, holds them in commitments with clubs and activities and groups of people, that they don't really enjoy. And it's just, hard to go through the thing. It's until you get super frustrated and so don't be too upset when you get super frustrated, because that may be causing you to get enough emotion to break out of where you are to where you want to go. And I remember a lady came up to me in a meeting one time and she said, I just, I'm depressed, I'm down, I need to make this change, and I need to get going on that, and I'm frustrated about how my career is going, and what do you say for me, to help me break out of this thing? I said, oh, you're on track. I said, keep on going. You're just not miserable enough yet. You're getting there. But give it another month, another 6 months, another year, and then you'll be mad enough, frustrated enough for you to take charge of your life and make a change. And she didn't like that answer, of course, but that was the answer. And so the thing is, how can you get unstuck? A locomotive at rest. I've said this, I don't know how scientific it is, but nobody's ever argued with me. But the concept is a locomotive at rest, it takes 2,000 pounds of pressure to move it the first inch. Then 2,000 pounds of pressure will move it a mile. An airplane on the runway, they burn, how much fuel do they burn getting into the air compared to how far they burn once they break gravity and they're at 40,000 feet? Doesn't take as much fuel, And so most of the stuff they burn the fuel getting off the ground. Same with a rocket ship going to the moon or getting into orbit. You see all those big rocket boosters that burn and fall away, and the little tiny capsule goes up there. Sometimes it takes this big burst of energy just to get going. And Adam talked about, he started going to the gym when he was 12 years old or so. I could remember sometimes dropping him, or days that he wouldn't go, that I was supposed to go, going out there, driving, getting a parking space right in front of the building and say, I don't want to go in there. I'm, at 7 a.m, I've got myself up, I'm here, I just don't want to walk in there. And I just have to physically force myself to go in. And then when you do it, it's easier. It's like, the lights are in there, the environment changes, and then you get into the flow, the blood starts working. It's kind of like what I have to do every morning to get out of bed. I'm not one of these guys. I'm not a morning person who pops out of bed and all ready to attack the world. I've got to crank my engine. And so the thing is, in life, you have to get yourself going towards the things you want to do. And so the only thing you can do is minimize the distractions, cancel, clear your schedule, keep the absolute essential things, carve out space to launch. Think about astronauts. Make a big deal out of get going. The countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the stuff they do. They tell their families, I'm getting ready to go on a project. It's like football coaches getting ready to go in the season. They spend as much time as they can with their family in the off season, and they say, you're just not going to see that much of me during the season. Maybe Friday nights and, Saturday mornings, but the rest of the time I'm going to be working around the clock because, this is go time. So, there's different things, but think about this, because you want to give yourself a chance to go into a new way of life. And sometimes you just have to make yourself take those first steps, say it's now or never. Any activity, I can always run back home to mama if I don't like it, but any activity is going to be better than no activity. And now there's no more thinking needs to be done. There's no more analysis needs to be done. It's now or never. And so you got to get yourself unstuck, but you can. And this is what we do in life. We alternate between thinking about stuff, figuring stuff out, and then it's time to actually do the stuff. When it's something you want to do, you don't need, all you need to know is, can it be done? Have other people done it? How did they do it? I want to do it. Now, what you don't want to do is get any more education at that part, or too much more education at that point, because that may be the kind of education that tells you, well, create even more doubts. Well, I didn't think about that. Well, so-and-so said that. I mean, there's always going to be people out there who can talk you out of doing something you can do if you don't let them talk you out of it before you get started. And so there's a momentum about launching. There's always a reason to wait. Hey, look, there's always a reason to wait. There's always a reason why it's going to be stupid for you to do what you're getting ready to do. Anything you accomplish in life, you've got to overcome. You've got to do in spite of this, in spite of that. And so when it comes time for you to do something that, it's in you, you got a passion to do something. And it's big things and little things, but it's important to you. Well, at some point, you got to think it through. You got to find a way to do it, and then you got to get started doing it. Because if you delay, anytime you delay, you're vulnerable to something hitting you, something getting in your mind, something getting in your way to cause you never to get started. Another obstacle. Because launches have to do with kind of clearing the schedule, looking for an opening where you can kind of it's like a prison break. You're in a prison in your life, in one area or another, doing things you don't want to do. You want to get out. And all you need is you figure out a way where you can get out of this thing. And when you look for the timing, when the timing comes, you go for it. You do the prison break, get out. And then once you get out, other options will open up to you. So don't delay in these things. When it comes time, at some point, the thinking's got to stop and the doing's got to kick in. All right, hopefully that's been helpful to you. I know in my course we talk about, it's in module 5. It's in the 5th video in module 5. It's how I close out the decision-making thing. And the term that I use there, I copied from the great legendary female golfer, Annika Sorenstam. And she said, you go from when you hit a shot, you go from the thinking box, which is, you get behind the ball, you look at where you want it to go, you think about your options, and then it comes time, you move to the hitting box. In the hitting box is where you address the ball, get in position, make your practice way, and then you go for it. And so, folks, when it comes time to move from the thinking box to the hitting box, go up there and launch. Do it. It's not time to think. You've already done the thinking. Been there, done that. Now it's time to do. All right, hopefully that's been helpful for you. And Adam, thanks for going through this with me this morning. Why don't we give people one more time, let's give them the replay call. And I'll encourage you once again, just make sure you're aware. People are using these now. I found out from Peggy Hightower last night. New $1 Million Earner Peggy Hightower. She's used some of our $1 Million Earner podcast things in her Saturday training. And she's used it with some of the full-timers and things like that. So I don't know how all these are going to be used or designed just to be podcast for you so you can get saturated and get inside the mind of how $1 Million earners think and talk and get it kind of so you can kind of be with me and listen in with me in my world and pick up, that way you can pick up the things that neither you nor I know at this point that you're missing. And you get those, fill in those gaps in your thinking, and you can find your life changes because you spring into action in where before you just did not have it worked out clear in your mind how to do that. So, thanks for listening to this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind with me, Larry Weidel. If I've helped you in any way, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. For more information like this, listen to our other Million Dollar Mastermind episodes and check out my Weidel Academy YouTube channel and visit us on WeidelOnWinning.com. I'm the Million Dollar Mastermind, and until next time, go, go, go.